He's been called the most arrogant man in football. Millions believe it. But that label leaves out a boy who left home at 12, survived heart surgery at 15, lost his father to alcoholism, and became the greatest goal scorer the sport has ever seen. 5 Ballon d'Ors, over 900 goals, and nearly every teammate who trained beside him tells the same story. Not arrogance, but obsession no one could match. Is Cristiano Ronaldo driven by ego, or is he a relentless champion the world misread? To answer that, you have to go back to where it started. Cristiano Ronaldo stands as one of the most polarizing athletes in the world. For some, his celebrations and unfiltered self-belief are proof of unchecked ego. For others, those same qualities reveal the cost of living under a microscope, where every gesture is dissected and every word becomes a headline. The debate has never been settled. Is this confidence or is it arrogance? Teammates, coaches, and those closest to him describe a man whose life is shaped by discipline and an obsession with improvement. Someone who arrives first to training and leaves last, who treats every setback as fuel. Yet the public narrative often leans on spectacle, branding him with a label that rarely matches the testimony from behind the scenes. The question remains, does the world see a mask or the reality of a relentless champion? This tension sits at the heart of his story. Cristiano Ronaldo's earliest memories are set against the backdrop of Madeira's steep hills and tight alleyways, where his family's world was defined by limits. Born in Funchal in 1985, he was the youngest of 4 children in a small, crowded apartment with a tin roof that rattled during winter storms. The household never escaped the shadow of financial struggle. His father, José Dinis Aveiro, returned from military service in Angola with scars that never fully healed and soon slipped into alcoholism. He worked odd jobs, sometimes tending kits for the local football club, sometimes disappearing for days, his paychecks barely stretching to the end of the week. Ronaldo's mother, Maria Dolores, became the family's anchor. She worked as a cook and cleaner, leaving before dawn and returning late, her hands raw from scrubbing. Every coin mattered. There were nights when a loaf of bread had to feed all 4 children, and birthdays passed without gifts. Even before birth, Ronaldo's future felt uncertain. Maria Dolores later admitted she considered ending the pregnancy, fearing she could not provide for another child. A doctor's refusal and her own resolve meant Cristiano was born into a world where every comfort was hard-won. Scarcity shaped him. On the streets, he fought for every ball, challenging older boys, refusing to lose. Hunger and cramped quarters bred a fierce competitiveness, a sense that nothing would be handed to him, and every chance had to be seized. In that tiny home, surrounded by struggle, the roots of his relentless ambition took hold. At just 12 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo boarded a flight alone, leaving behind Madeira's hills for the unfamiliar sprawl of Lisbon. Sporting CP had called, but the price was steep: distance, loneliness, and the ache of homesickness that never quite faded. The academy was a world apart from the island's tight-knit comfort. Here, his Madeiran accent set him apart. Teammates mocked his speech, teachers dismissed his background, and each day brought a new reminder that he was an outsider. Nights were often spent in tears, longing for family, but retreat was never an option. The isolation soon turned volatile. When a teacher insulted his family's poverty, Ronaldo's anger boiled over. He hurled a chair, and with that act was expelled from school at 14. Formal education ended, But football became his only path, his entire life narrowing to the pitch, the ball, and the next training session. At 15, another threat arrived. Doctors diagnosed him with tachycardia, a racing heart that could have ended his career before it began. He underwent laser heart surgery, the risk hanging over his future. Yet, within days, he was back on the field, training as if nothing had happened. Every setback, every slight, every lonely night in the dorms fueled a resolve that hardened into something unbreakable. In the pressure cooker of Sporting's academy, Ronaldo's world shrank to football and survival, forging the mentality that would define him. Cristiano Ronaldo's story stopped being private the moment he became Sporting CP's secret weapon. In the 1997 to 1998 season, he did something no one else at the club had managed. He played for 5 different teams in a single year: U16, U17, U18, the B team, and finally, the senior squad. At just 17, he made his professional debut in 2002, stepping onto the pitch not as a prospect, but as a force. The anonymity of the academy was gone. Major clubs across Europe started to take notice, but it was a summer night in 2003 that changed everything. Facing Manchester United in a friendly, Ronaldo's pace and skill tore through defenders, forcing seasoned professionals into mistakes. Sir Alex Ferguson watched from the stands, transfixed. Within days, Manchester United paid £12 million to bring him to England, a record for a teenager. Ferguson did not just sign a player, he handed Ronaldo the number 7 shirt, a number worn by legends like George Best and David Beckham. For Ronaldo, it was both a challenge and an invitation. Prove you belong with the greats or be lost in their shadow. The pressure was immense, but so was the opportunity. In that moment, the world began to see not just raw talent, but a young man ready to carry the weight of expectation on his back. Ronaldo's arrival in Manchester did not just spark excitement, it stoked controversy. His style was electric and unapologetic. Every match, he drove at defenders with a swagger that dared them to stop him. Stepovers, feints, and bursts of speed became his signature, but so did the way he celebrated, arms wide, chin lifted, soaking in the noise. For some, it was confidence; for others, provocation. The English press sharpened their knives, dissecting every gesture, every smirk. Opposing fans and players accused him of showboating, of playing for himself. The scrutiny reached its peak during the 2006 World Cup. In the quarterfinal against England, Ronaldo became the villain overnight. After Wayne Rooney was sent off, cameras caught Ronaldo's quick glance, an unmistakable wink. Headlines exploded. He was painted as the architect of England's downfall, the arrogant foreigner who dared to outfox their hero. The backlash was relentless. Booed in stadiums across England, hounded by tabloids, Ronaldo became a symbol of rivalry, of resentment, of supposed excess. Yet, the more the criticism mounted, the more relentless he became. The pressure did not break him, it hardened him. His performances grew sharper, his mentality even more unyielding. Under fire, Ronaldo's confidence became his armor. Inside Manchester United's training ground, a pattern emerged that would define Ronaldo's reputation among those who watched him work. He was always the first to arrive, stepping onto the pitch before sunrise, and the last to leave, often staying behind for hours after teammates had showered and gone home. Former goalkeeper Ben Foster described Ronaldo as relentless, never coasting through a single drill, always hunting for an edge. On match days, Foster recalled, it was Ronaldo who kept himself in peak condition, ready to pull the team out of trouble when others faded. Paul Clement, who worked with him at Real Madrid, remembered sessions that stretched deep into the night, sometimes at 4 a.m, because Ronaldo demanded more and others followed. This drive went beyond the ball. Nutrition, rest, and recovery became non-negotiable parts of his routine. He transformed his body from a skinny teenager into one of the most physically dominant athletes in football, sculpted by years of discipline. Teammates and coaches saw not just a star, but a self-made machine, someone who turned natural talent into something close to perfection through obsession, sacrifice, and a daily refusal to accept limits. In Manchester, the transformation was complete. Ronaldo evolved from a raw, electrifying winger to the heartbeat of a team that dominated English football. Between 2006 and 2009, he helped deliver 3 consecutive Premier League titles, an FA Cup, and the League Cup. The crowning moment arrived in May 2008, when his header in Moscow set Manchester United on the path to Champions League glory. That season, he scored 42 goals across all competitions, astonishing for a wide player, and became the youngest United player to win the Ballon d'Or since George Best. But individual validation was only the beginning. In June 2009, Real Madrid shattered the world transfer record, paying £80 million to bring Ronaldo to Spain. The fee was more than a transaction, it was a declaration. Madrid did not just buy a footballer, they invested in an idea that ambition, discipline, and relentless self-belief could be engineered into greatness. From his unveiling at the Santiago Bernabeu, with 80,000 fans chanting his name, Ronaldo was no longer just a player. He was a global project, burdened with the expectation to deliver not just goals, but a new era of dominance. Every training session, every match, every public appearance became part of a campaign to redefine what was possible in the sport. The spotlight grew hotter and the scrutiny more intense. Yet for Ronaldo, the pressure was familiar, the natural extension of a career built on turning doubt into fuel. Wearing the Portugal shirt brought a different kind of weight, one that never left his shoulders, no matter how many records fell at club level. For years, the story of Ronaldo and his country was one of heartbreak and unfinished business. Euro 2004 cut deepest. At just 19, he played a key role in Portugal's run to the final, only to collapse in tears as Greece stunned a nation on home soil. The image of Ronaldo, face buried in his hands, became a symbol of hope denied. He promised his mother he would bring a trophy home. That vow lingered through every tournament that followed. World Cups and European Championships brought new pressure, and each exit sharpened the criticism. The numbers piled up, goals, appearances, captaincies, but the narrative always circled back to what was missing. Detractors called him selfish, accused him of chasing personal glory, while Portugal waited for a hero. Yet, year after year, he returned, never ducking the expectation, never walking away from the burden. Each setback was met with the same refusal to quit, the same insistence that the next time would be different. For Ronaldo, leading Portugal meant carrying not just a team, but the restless hopes of an entire country and absorbing every bruise that came with it. Portugal arrived at Euro 2016 with little of the swagger that usually follows a team led by Cristiano Ronaldo. Few experts named them as favorites, The group stage was a grind. 3 draws, moments of doubt, and the sense that the old story of disappointment might repeat. Yet behind closed doors, Ronaldo's presence was unmissable. Teammates described a captain who demanded belief, who reminded them daily that history doesn't favor the timid. He scored when it mattered, but his leadership was measured in the way he refused to let the group fracture under pressure. The final in Paris brought a new test. After only 25 minutes, a brutal challenge forced Ronaldo to the ground. He tried to play on, tears streaming down his face, but the pain in his left knee was too much. Stretchered off, he disappeared into the tunnel, the weight of a nation pressing on his shoulders. Most would have faded into the background. Instead, Ronaldo returned to the sideline, knee bandaged, voice raw, urging and directing his teammates with the urgency of a man who could not accept defeat. He shouted instructions, embraced players, and paced the technical area beside the coach, turning agony into fuel. When Eder scored the decisive goal in extra time, Portugal's bench erupted, not just for the victory, but for the man who willed them there. The final whistle brought tears, embraces, and a first major international trophy for Portugal. In the aftermath, players and coaches spoke of Ronaldo's influence, not as a scorer, but as the heartbeat of the team. On that night, leadership was measured not in minutes played, but in the unbreakable belief he inspired in everyone around him. The world often sees Cristiano Ronaldo as a figure of confidence, sometimes even excess, but few witness the private weight he carries. In September 2005, Ronaldo's father, José Diniz Aveiro, died from alcohol-related liver failure at just 52. Ronaldo was 20, on the cusp of global stardom, but the loss left a wound that never fully healed. He has spoken of the regret that his father never saw his greatest triumphs, a regret that lingers behind every celebration and every record. Family pain would not end there. His mother, Maria Dolores, survived breast cancer twice, first diagnosed in 2007, then again in 2019. Her resilience became a quiet foundation in his life. Ronaldo's devotion to her and her survival became a source of strength, but the fear of losing her always lingered in the background. Fatherhood changed Ronaldo's center of gravity. The birth of his children brought new meaning and responsibility, softening the hard edges of his public persona. But tragedy returned in April 2022 when his newborn son died during childbirth. Ronaldo called it the worst moment of his life, a grief compounded when his infant daughter, Bella Esmeralda, was hospitalized with bronchitis the following year. Through these trials, the importance of family eclipsed any trophy or headline. Behind the relentless competitor is a man shaped by loss, love, and the quiet battles that rarely make the front page. After turning 30, most footballers start to fade. For Cristiano Ronaldo, it became another proving ground. When he joined Juventus in 2018, the challenge was clear: dominate a new league, adapt to a different style, and keep delivering at an age when others slow down. He led Juventus to back-to-back Serie A titles and became the first player to finish as top scorer in England, Spain, and Italy. At the same time, his role with Portugal kept evolving. In 2019, he captained his country to victory in the inaugural UEFA Nations League, adding another international trophy to his legacy. Even as the years passed, his physical standards barely dropped. A return to Manchester United in 2021 brought a wave of nostalgia, but also a reminder: Ronaldo still demanded the spotlight. His move to Al-Nassr in Saudi Arabia was no farewell tour. He continued breaking records, redefining what longevity looks like at the top of the sport. Tears have followed Cristiano Ronaldo across decades, each one dissected and debated as fiercely as his goals. After Euro 2004, the image of a teenager weeping on home soil became a permanent part of his public memory. Some saw heartbreak, others saw weakness. Years later, the cycle repeated. In Euro 2024, after missing a penalty, Ronaldo's tears returned, and so did the judgment. Critics called it a sign of fragility, questioning his composure on the world stage. But for every voice calling his emotion instability, there were others who recognized a different truth. These moments revealed the depth of his investment, the burden of carrying a nation's hopes, and the pain of falling short. His emotional farewells after international defeats, shoulders shaking, eyes red, were read by some as proof that he cared too much, by others as the purest form of authenticity. For Ronaldo, passion was never a mask. It was the cost of caring, paid in public, every time the world was watching. Cristiano Ronaldo's career defies the limits of ordinary achievement. He stands alone as the only player to claim top scorer honors in England, Spain, and Italy. His name is etched into the UEFA Champions League record books with 140 goals, more than any other player in history. For Portugal, he has scored 146 international goals, carrying his country to their first major trophy at Euro 2016 and lifting the inaugural Nations League title in 2019. 5 Ballon d'Or awards place him among the select few recognized as the world's best. Yet, the numbers tell only part of the story. Ronaldo's discipline and relentless standards have inspired generations of young athletes, from Madeira to Riyadh. Off the pitch, he has donated millions to children's hospitals, disaster relief, and cancer research, often giving away entire bonuses to charity. Through his fame, Portugal's flag has reached every corner of the globe. His legacy is not confined to goals and trophies, but in the example he sets of persistence, generosity, and belief that greatness is never given, only earned. The line between self-confidence and arrogance is often drawn by those watching from a distance. In Ronaldo's case, that line has been blurred by years of media headlines built on a handful of charged moments, goal celebrations, heated exchanges, a single wink in a World Cup. Yet those who share dressing rooms and training grounds with him speak of a different reality, a relentless professional whose commitment sets the standard for everyone around him. Coaches call him the first to arrive and the last to leave, a player whose discipline is contagious. Teammates describe a leader who demands the best, not just from himself, but from the group. The psychological cost of living under constant scrutiny is steep, every emotion dissected, every ambition questioned. For some, relentless ambition can look cold or even ruthless, but when measured against the testimony of those closest to him, the arrogant label seems incomplete. Ronaldo's career stands as proof that greatness often walks a lonely, misunderstood road, one shaped by self-belief, sacrifice, and the burden of expectation. In an era obsessed with image, Ronaldo's story exposes the price of greatness, measured not just in goals, but in isolation, sacrifice, and relentless scrutiny. Today, every rising athlete faces the same unforgiving spotlight. The line between confidence and arrogance is drawn by those watching, not those striving. Ultimately, the world judges, and greatness, more often than not, walks alone. What do you see when you look at him?